Labour, who have announced a 2-day protest against the hardship and high cost of living in the country. But then the police authorities have come out to say they will not condone any form of violence during the planned 2-day demonstration. All right. So their warning is coming against the backdrop of the alarm by the African Development Bank that rising prices of fuel and other commodities could lead to social unrest in Nigeria, Ethiopia, Angola, and also Kenya. All right. So they sounded this warning after they did like their own microeconomic analysis, you know, for the year 2024, the outlook and the projections are not looking really good. I mean, you don't even need to be a scientist or whatever,
an economist to know.
Exactly, for you to know that it's not looking good right now. Like Mr. Ezukama rightly said, it is on the faces of the people. All right, so gentlemen, let's talk about this labor protest vis-a-vis, you know, the stance of the Nigerian police. We'll start with you, Comrade Fosun.
Well, Labour didn't need to organize anyone in Niger State, no. And Ondo State, don't forget, all of this crisis started in Ondo State when they first came to the streets to complain about the high cost of living. And Labour didn't need to, I mean, declare a nationwide strike before these people are doing this. Like you said, rightly said, in Ibadan, Labour did not call for that strike. So these are people protest. These are people, the crises that come from the people because they have suffered. They've seen the suffering. Don't need Labour's only have to call for protest with his members. I mean, members are in civil service, public service, and the rest of it. For some of us who are entrepreneurs, we don't have any issue with Labour. I think a lot of people in the rural area don't understand what Labour is doing. Who knows about what is from their pocket and the rest of it. So I think at the end of the day, law has a head, and that was the reason why the government could not even negotiate with the NSAS protesters, because they publicly declared that they don't have a leader. So Labour has a leader that can always be compromised at any time. We have seen it in the past that most times, 2 days, people are ready for the strike. In the middle of the night, they call off the strike. So the headship of labor union in Nigeria is not trusted by the Nigerian people. So I think what they are trying to do is also to call their own members out, not all Nigerians, but the Nigerians who have suffered over time, who have suffered since this ambition came into power, who have suffered since the pronouncement of subsidy gone, have decided to take their own destiny in their hand. They are not, I mean, against the police, they are not brutalizing anybody, they are not damaging anything. I don't know why the police payment salary is one of the poorest among the public service in Nigeria. It's one of the poorest. A constable, the police does not earn up to 40,000 naira. Yeah. It's one of the poorest. So if they are against the people trying to ensure that government look into their welfare and they want to giving them ultimatum or riot act and the rest of it, it doesn't make sense to me. So what the police should do essentially is that telling people that please, when you are going about this protest, go about it peacefully. And again, I beg to differ. It's a beggar's belief that any protest could be peaceful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's neither here nor there. There have been peaceful protests. That there was no fighting, no riot.
But there are some pockets. They will not report pocket things that happen.
All the protests, daughter those days over subsidies. They were peaceful. There was music, food and drinks, and people were just meeting and mingling. They were.
I live in Agege at that time. I'm sorry. I live in Agege at that time. As a journalist trying to come out, I know my car was smashed. All right. So where am I going to? Don't you hear that you should stay at home? Yeah. So there is absolutely, in actual sense, there is no peaceful protest. There will be pocket of disturbances here and there.
But holistically,
peaceful, really peaceful.
Yes,
you must understand that even on regular normal day, when there is no protest, we still have incidences that are untoward. We can't take that out of our communities in totality.
Of course.
But this Labour simply wants to coordinate so that there will not be this crisis. You know, if it snowballs whereby Akure is doing his own, Ibadan is doing, Anokta is doing, without any central control, we might have big challenges on our hands. But if it is NSCTUC, they have their command structure. They can simply say stop, and everybody will stop.
But then he mentioned something important, the trust element. Okay.
I'm going there. Over, I mean, by the grace of God, on Wednesday of the 64th, I have been around in this country to know all those antecedents. They will rev up people's emotions, making you feel like Abednego was coming down. Before you say Jack Robinson, behind the curtain, meetings will be held, and very late in the night, they will come and telling you the agreement they have with the government are cancelled, not postponed, no, and cancelled the protest. And that's why a protest like NSAS took off organically and without anybody's initiation or leadership. Unfortunately, all the supposed achievement of NSAS didn't manifest. All the agreement that the government of that time signed with them, none was executed till date. My problem basically now is the last 8 years, farmers were denied quality time access to their farms. We've been having food insecurity in this country. We've been spending more money importing food. So when they now said they should go and open the silos and release stored grains, and I'm like, where are stored grains? Nobody has shown me any silo, any warehouse here that they got food where. When we know that farmers have been sent away from their farms all the while by herdsmen, bandits, terrorists, kidnappers, they held sway. So for me, it's unfortunate that government will not be telling us things by the right.
Government is trying to control. Government is trying to control communication. It doesn't. They don't want Nigerians to be and feel that there is nothing that is not being done.
If you promise us food and we can't get the food, we won't clap for you. That one is important. And you see, the age of information technology. Hey, everybody should be very careful. You send it in anywhere in seconds, it goes viral, it goes trending. And the impact can be massively positive or negative, depending on what you are dropping. So care must be taken. None of us can nobody will pray for crisis. If it happens, I won't be here, you won't be here. I'm sure you two will not venture coming here.
All right.
So,
okay, so Mrs. Gama, let me bring you in at this point. What makes Nigeria's issue, with rising cost of living peculiar? Because the world over, it is a growing trend. Like literally every part of the world today, there are complaints about the increase in cost of living, rise in cost of food items. I'll give you some instance. All right, so in the last 2 years, you had countries like Argentina, where farmers protested against rising food prices. You have Chile, students marched through the Chilean capital, Santiago, demanding high food stipends, all right? Also, we have in Cyprus, farmers dumped tons of milk, and also they burnt bales of hay in front of the presidential palace because of high food prices. The same thing in Greece, all right? The same thing in Guinea, all right? During protest, they protested over fuel price hike and rising food costs. Indonesian farmers, even in Iran, war-torn Sudan also, all right, Kenya, Lebanon, literally everywhere. It looks like Nigeria even came late to the party, as it were, all right? So what makes our own peculiar, seeing that it is the same challenge that other parts of the world is also grappling with at the moment?
We came late to the party, but we advanced those that were there.
Okay.
So that's the problem with the Nigerian case. And some of the countries you mentioned are countries where there are aberrations, economic aberrations. The system economy is almost collapsing, like Argentina has always had that issue. Venezuela has it, Chile, okay? But in the case of Nigeria, there will always be inflation. Since the Arab oil boycott or revolt of the 1973 war, inflation became a factor in world economics. But then in places like US, like England, they periodically review the minimum wage, wages in general, to keep up with inflation. And rate of inflation can be 3% a year, 4% in 1 year. But in Nigeria, rate of inflation, especially with food, is 26, 27% a month. So it's drastic, it is dramatic, and the Nigerian situation is like, the system is collapsing. The level is talking about 1 million minimum wage, which is laughable, it's comical. But on the other hand, they are telling you that for a Nigerian to really live good, it's about how much he needs every month. But nobody can give you that. The governors are here to pay 30,000 a month. So the Nigerian case is dramatic. People are getting poorer and poorer, and inflation has been spiraling. Forget my article English. out of control. That's the thing with the Nigerian situation. But it's extremely important that people are protesting. It will also be very important that we sustain the protest. Apart from the Ibadan protest, there are women protesting in the north, stripping themselves naked. Okay,
I saw the
showing and to them is the ultimate protest, ultimate demonstration against the corruption in the land, the suffering in the land, and so on and so forth. Labour keeps dabbling into protest versus non-protest, but Labour should realize that Nigerians, it lost its credibility. Nigerians are not taking Labour seriously at all. And the involvement of Labour can only dampen the zeal of Nigerians to protest against what is happening. Because Labour has a following that you can say halt and halt. But the masses are angry, and you can't just control them anymore. Stop and they stop. So Labour is not helping the matter anyway. The Ojota protest was peaceful because it was an elite protest against an elite group, elite versus elite. But when the masses get angry, when it must become chaotic one way or the other. But when you rely on the police and the military, there's this guy that talked about different kinds of power, John Galbert. He said that the least effective form of power is what is called condign power. Power you impose on others because you punish them if they misbehave. That's the most ineffective, okay? Well, if you study history, you see the limits of police power and military power. Because the generals are in air-conditioned rooms, traveling overseas, living in mansions. But the man you have to send to do the arresting and the shooting is hungry.
The main job.
His wife is hungry. His children are hungry. So be careful.
Out of school.
Be careful. They themselves don't turn against you. The military echelon of the military and police echelon. So the government better do something extremely important to alleviate the problem and stop this threat of police arresting, army doing this. It will lead to nowhere.
Where do we start this alleviation from? If what Labour is proposing as the minimum wage is realistic, even the current minimum wage of 30,000 naira is not realistic in many states in the country. Now, but let me paint a vivid picture. All right, according to people who have done the analysis and the breakdown, an individual averagely spends about 60% of their income on food. All right, so if we take 30,000 naira as a minimum wage, 60% of 30,000 naira is about 18,000 naira. All right, so let's say a Nigerian spends 18,000 naira on food every month at the current price of food items in the market. What are you going to buy?
You buy
All right, so in my estate where I live, a derica of rice is 1,500 naira today. A derica of beans is 1,200 naira. All right, and it goes on and on. A pack of spaghetti is 800 naira. So, exactly. So imagine a family of 3, 4, 5, and so on. How much food can you actually buy with what an average Nigerian earns today? Where does the alleviation start from?
You see, we are at a very delicate point where, when you look at this thing, it's extensive, but it's black, it's dark. It doesn't reflect hope anymore. It's making everything look very hopeless. it started like a joke, May 29 after the swearing. And where we are now, if my mother should wake up, she would think she's in another land. Because it was never this bad at that time. Yet, I read some magazines published some 35 years ago, and they were complaining about the economy. And then some musicians, they sang some songs 30, 35 years ago, still saying that things were not they should be.
Yes.
And then they were advocating for democracy, that the military should pack their load and go. The military, they've left now for so long, since 1999. But are we any better?
No.
And that begs common sense. You keep asking yourself, where do we go? How did we get on? The central pillar here is corruption. Okay? Because we had a lot of agricultural projects. The one I will remember most is the Fadama Rice Project. That you will think the way they were mouthing Fadama, very soon, rice, a bag of rice will be 10 naira. But what happened? Those who have no business with farming were the ones collecting grants and loans, not paying back. The real farmer, toiling in the sun and the rain, still relying on his cutlass and hoes. They are there, they're not getting nothing. I joined a farmers club. I've always had flair for farming anyway. I joined a farmers club. I wanted to simply rear snails. And I was not asking for a huge sum, just 700,000 naira to build a cage and then buy the stock and money for initial feeding. They didn't give us. Some people collected 70 million. And you know, until we kill corruption in Nigeria, corruption will continue to destroy our country.
The Fadama project is way back. I remember it as a kid. Let's talk about recent ones. The Anchor Borrower Scheme for farmers too. I mean, it's died a natural death. Yeah, so
all of these initiatives were murdered by corruption. Those who have no business coming near at all be giving. And you know, it happens every time. We talk about it every time, but by the time they come around again, it will be the same thing. The president said governors will go and reach out to the farmers, and when he was saying, I was laughing because I know it's not going to happen. The same people who sit in air conditioner offices will be giving money for farming. They either marry more wives or convert the money to dollar and pay their children's fees in America or wherever. It's unfortunate that you ask yourself, is it not, are we not the normal, regular human beings like other nations that are getting things right? It is corruption everywhere.
Comrade Ofose, let me have your input on this issue of alleviating the sufferings of Nigerians. Where do you think is the starting point?
The government that was elected should know. I mean, they have all of this in blueprints, and they campaign, and they talked about how they will make food sufficient to Nigerians. They talk about how they will make life easy for people. They talk about how some of these things, they are well planned, and their document is called Renew Hope. And I think all of this is embedded in that piece of document. And whatever I'm going to say here is really going to make no sense. For me, I feel that at the end of the day, we cannot allow, because I keep saying it, what is the percentage of civil servants to the Nigerian population? So if Labour always come out to talk about the Labour, the union, who speaks about us? Speak about Prof. Oh, Prof is in ASU.
ASU speaks for me.
Who speaks for me? I'm not a civil servant.
And you just should speak for you.
Well, okay.
And you just should speak for you. Okay. But at the end of
we are married to civil servants.
I don't know what you mean by that.
At the end of the day, I really feel that the situation, the government haven't told us the truth. Now, they came out with propaganda that we have asked people to open silos. Where are the silos? Where are the profs? Where are the grades? You didn't stop it. You started going to places and lock up their shops. Listen, it's as a function of inflation. You can't tell me, because I'm going to go and buy fish, I'm selling gari, and somebody who has gone to buy gari in the bush market called me and said, Oga, that guy you are selling a Derica 100 naira is now a Derica is 500. I will go and buy now. As a business person, I have to adjust my cost.
Naturally.
So why, if government have done what they are supposed to do, it's just like today, government will come out and say, okay, just like today, the government should say, don't use generator again. Is it realistic? When then you know that there is no public power. So you cannot control what you don't have control over. So at the end of the day, whatever that is in that piece of document, I want to recommend to the minders of the Mr. President and the minders of the government to go back to that document. Whatever they said, it was written by experts who have well-known knowledge about what this country is all about. They should go back to that piece of and do something that they said. I listened this morning to a TV station how a certain minister was already in the country is in the state of crisis, was telling that there's nobody, that he hope the 2017 is yesterday. And I'm asking myself, why would somebody go to a church and who is in government and say that, and without people revolting? And I heard from the background, people from the churches were clapping.
What is 2017?
2027 elections.
Okay, so they will win again.
Is that they will win, that nobody can challenge them. When a country is in the state of chaos.
Should we be talking about 2027 now?
No, that's what I'm saying. So that somebody is in the government, is a minister of FCT, is a landlord to the president, like Mr. President used to call him, my landlord.
All right, gentlemen. Now, it's a whole lot, all right? The protest in Ibadan, it's just might be kickstarting, other protests, because other states are also looking one kind at this issue of high cost of food especially, all right? And let's not even mention electricity has become...
In the face of the heat waves.
Yes.
Ikeja Electric is one of the... see, I am saying this...
If you zoom into my neck, don't try it, all right? You will see, because heat rashes. Yes! I don't sleep well at night. It's crazy.
No, I'm not. They are worse.
Don't try it.
Downstairs.
Don't zoom.
Advertisement for somebody doing very badly.
I mean, it's a whole lot.